Welcome to Chats with Colleen. We are so glad you're here. I'm here with Sean, the executive producer, and we are here to de-stress. Before our great interview with the personal trainer that will help us
and Hawkins
really de-stress ourselves.
Yes.
So this week has been another nightmarish fun event, multiples.
Yes.
For you as well.
Yes, yes.
Chaotic. It's just like the chaos just keeps going and going, and you can never seem to. There's something. Oh, it was the cord. You can never seem to keep it moving without dealing with it. Yeah. So, I just want to say, people, car insurance is expensive because you can't drive. You cannot freaking drive.
That's very true. Especially in Florida.
Yeah. So, the car insurance is high because the cost of the vehicles, the cost to repair the cars are high, the labor is high. So that's number one. So when you get in a car accident, and your insurance company or the other person's insurance company has to pay the damages, it's actually costing them more to repair your car. Even though your car may not be valued more, or you're not getting money because you're not supposed to get any money when you're in a car accident, but it's costing them more.
The insurance company.
So that extra has to be passed on to the consumer, which is us. And then there's a lot more accidents. Even though they've changed laws with how the lawyers and they can file the claims and the lawsuits against the other insurance companies, there's still a lot of accidents.
There's a lot of accidents.
And I had a client the other day tell me that, my wife and her daughter were in a car accident, and they went to this big reputable attorney that has billboards and commercials all over the place.
Yeah.
And he's like, they can only get $100,000. I'm like, yeah, because that's what the limit is on the policy. And they have to split it. Yeah, because that's what the limit is. Where's the other money going to come from? So like I told him, when you see those commercials, I got $8 million, or I got $4 million. I'm like, do you notice they're only showing them from here up?
Literally, yeah.
So true. I'm like, I hope they either have no legs, they're paralyzed, or they're extremely injured.
Or they sued a business.
Or they sued a business. But even still, you have to have injuries to compensate what you had. So your life has changed. Either your life expectancy is lowered, your life is changed. You can't walk, or you have a major injury, something, or somebody lied a whole bunch and they got away with it. But the whole point is you don't want to be in that position. No. You don't want to be sitting here from here up and saying, I got $5 million. Well,
and you can't walk.
And then if the husband's next to them, he's not smiling. Can he talk? Can he do anything anymore? I mean, it's got to be something extreme. So you don't want to make money off of an insurance claim. Yeah. You don't want to do it. So number one, put the phones down. I'm guilty of it too. I now put the phone in my purse.
Yeah.
So my husband's like, I called you, you didn't answer it, because I'm on the phone all day. I'm driving. I'm trying to do that. Number two, pay attention. Don't speed. Number three, teach your kids how to drive. Get them a driver's course. Last week, I almost ran off the road by a kid driving Mama's Mazda, smoking a cigarette in a 35-mile-an-hour zone, almost sideswiped me. Then another person, the F-150, came scheming across from me. I'm like, you couldn't really wait 5 extra seconds for me to pass before you had to make me alert and throw off every alarm in my car. So, we have to slow down, do better, so we can lower our insurance rates, because, everybody's just going up.
It's true. Across the country, it's not just the state of Florida. It's actually everywhere. It is.
Yeah, that's it. And then we were at my dad's house last week for crab boil, and we were going to use the air fryer to make some sides. Well, he had moved, and apparently he put all the owner's instruction manuals inside the little appliances. Well, we didn't know that.
Yeah.
So we plugged it in. Start smoking
because it was inside the air fryer.
Someone's like, it's sparking. I was like, oh God. And they pull it out, and the instruction manual's in there, seared.
Like steaming and seared, yeah.
So I was like, oh boy. So luckily we were able to catch it and still use it. Everybody was fine. So check your small appliances to make sure there's no paper in them when you're using them. It's just a little small safety tip, because it could happen to anybody.
Yeah, like just look in it.
Look inside to make sure there's no little the little wraps, in there. There's no plastic left over from anything that's got inside lids.
Tupperware.
Tupperware. It's an easy thing, and that will melt, and it would just be disgusting, and it would probably ruin it. Also, this is another important statement. If you get a check at your house or your business that's not for yourself or your business, isn't it illegal to cash that check?
I believe it is actually illegal.
So if a check isn't made to you, and just because you receive it at your house doesn't mean you're supposed to cash it.
That is correct.
So I'm going to tell you a quick little story. I had a client who was expecting a refund. She's texting me, whatever. Where's my refund? Ask Eddie, hey, can you check this refund? Yeah, that SHIT was cashed. Okay.
Yeah.
So he sends me the picture of the check, cleared cash. So I send it to her. I didn't even look at the signature or the address. I'm just like, yeah, the check was out. It was cashed. That's not my address. That's not my signature.
Oh my gosh.
$473 and some change. So I look at it. I look at the last name. Okay. I kind of recognize that last name. Okay. Like it may have been an acquaintance or an associate that worked at an insurance company that I dealt with last name. Then I looked at the address. So I Googled the address. It's a big, beautiful 3,800 square foot house in another state. I'm like, oh, that's a really nice house. It's like $1 million home. Go to property appraiser for that county. Look it up. Yeah. It's that individual that I knew. What a small world. The last name, it was the guy that I knew who worked at an insurance company. Yeah. But it wasn't his name that signed. It must have been the wife.
Oh my God.
So
she endorsed the check.
She endorsed the check. So and it gets weirder. So I go like a good old lady. I go to social media, Facebook, find him, DM him. He replies, oh yeah, my wife did get a check for that amount. Okay.
Was it addressed? Like, was her name?
No, it was made to the land trust.
Which is not her.
Which is not her, in which she didn't own the land trust.
Either.
My client did. She had no connection. The connection comes in, she bought the house. She was the buyer. My client who renovated the home, bought it in a land trust, renovated it, got it beautiful, sold it. This person bought it. She bought it and got the refund check because I believe the admin, somehow the mailing address from the closing statement was like close to it. And that's where they printed the check.
But that money was...
It wasn't her money. She didn't have a policy with us, and she wasn't the land trust. She wasn't associated with it. So in turn, she shouldn't have. So I contacted her. The husband gave me her phone number. Called her twice. The first time she hung up. Second time she waited a little bit and hung up. So I left a professional message. Yeah. Then I got the copy of the HUD statement with the title company, and I called the title company. I explained to the girl what happened, and I said, I'm going to email you this if you can get it to her. I did call her. So, my next recourse is, of course, I'm refunding the client. Like I told the client, you're going to get your money back. Nobody's going to go broke over here for $473. I don't even know if it's enough to be grand theft. And I don't like to use that word with people, but essentially it's not your money. So I just want you to give it back to me.
Literally. Yeah.
And and then you have to be careful. We live in a small world. And
everyone knows everyone.
I know, and I know your husband, and I know him from dealing with him professionally.
And his wife.
And what a small world that you bought one of my clients' house. That's what I'm saying. You can't ever put anything past anybody. No. And she cashed it. And so the lady says, oh, are you just getting so many checks that you just don't know and you just sign them? They were signed by hand, so it's not like stamping.
She physically held that check
in her hand
and
deposited it into her bank. So the next recourse would probably be to call the bank, because I believe you can't, it's not hers and they can just take it from her. But I wanted to give her the opportunity, because I went to her humbly and said, hey, we mailed you a check that wasn't for you and it wasn't made out to you. Inadvertently it went to you. As a humble business owner and you're a woman, just send it back.
Or void it and tear it out.
Well, she's already cashed it.
Can you cancel it? How does that work?
I think you have to call the bank that she went to, and you can get it
canceled.
Yeah, because when they see the name, it's not her name.
And she just fraudulently deposited.
I don't want to say she fraudulently or stole money. Maybe she, honestly didn't know, but she can be humble, like I'm humble, to call her and leave her a professional message. I just need it back.
Literally, it's not her money.
No.
She doesn't deserve it. It never belonged to her. That's
and if
insane.
it was, this happens all the time. Places send money and they have to go collect it back. But, at least call me back.
Seriously. Oh my gosh. And she just picked up the phone and then just didn't
hung
say anything.
Up. I don't know.
Insane.
And
Did she say like hello? Or
Nothing.
She just like, it was just like, you could hear someone breathing.
I could basically hear a breather. Yeah. So you believe what a small world? And I was like, I told the client and she's like, wow, what a coincidence. Yeah. It's like too many coincidences, like all in one. Yeah. It's just this real estate world, this insurance world, like everything is so connected.
That's embarrassing. I hope she does what's right.
Me too.
But maybe she won't. If not, you can obviously, seek recourse and get that money. But
right.
It's still, that's really unfortunate for her.
It's not, it probably is not the first time that people have got, refunded and they just haven't got caught. But I'm like, how many checks are you getting that you don't really know? Because a lot of people don't get checks anymore. They just get
like deposits.
Yeah. So,
or transfers, whatever. Yeah.
And she's a realtor, apparently.
Very interesting.
So kind of unethical.
Very unethical.
And unprofessional. So please call me back.
If you're listening. Please call back Secure Insurance Group, specifically Colleen Pacheco. Thank you so much. And issue that refund.
So what's up with you?
You know what? Just living life. Just like I'm excited. I have a trip to Japan coming up.
Oh my God. That's going to be amazing.
I'm so excited. I'm very excited for that. We're like almost done planning, which is so insane.
I heard they have amazing food.
The food's supposed to be exceptional, like next level. And I'm really excited. We're going to go to like the theme parks, Universal, Disney, Tokyo Disneyland, Universal Japan. We're going to go to Kyoto. We're going to go to Osaka. We're going to go all over Tokyo. We actually have like several days in Tokyo, which I'm really excited for.
How many people's going?
It's me and 3 other guys.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. And
so it's like an even number.
An even nice little group. Not too many people.
Right.
And we're going to go for it. I'm really excited. It's going to be fun. How about you? How is life?
It's crazy. It's good.
Yes, I can resonate with that as well. Yes,
crazy is good. So it's good. It's getting there.
Any like fun things you're excited for?
I'm excited to continue the podcast. I'm excited
for that as well.
To expand my office. I'm excited to go wedding dress shopping with my sister.
Yes.
I'm excited.
Who has a date now officially?
Yes. Yeah. I'm excited to go to the wedding. I'm excited for my son with his completing school, within the next year or so, and getting into his career and seeing where that takes him. So there's a lot.
That's really good.
I'm excited to redecorate my house.
We love that so much. That's
and decorate so I can have like a podcast room that's not red.
Which
the red room, the red room. Yeah. But so there's a lot of fun things.
I'm assuming you're also really excited for this interview with Anne as well.
Oh yeah, with Anne, she's amazing. She's going to be amazing, and I'm sure we're going to learn something new because everybody has all these misconceptions with working out and eating and what you're supposed to do and not supposed to do.
I know. I need to get on that train myself. Where it's like a slow journey though. We're not.
No rush.
Yeah, no rush.
Keep doing a little bit at a time.
Yeah. Fun stuff.
All right. Well, thank you. On to Anne. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Chats with Colleen. This is Colleen, and today I have a special guest, Miss Anne Hawkins. Thank you for joining me.
Of course. I am thrilled to be here.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad to hear that. So Anne is a personal trainer. I have used her several times, and she's amazing. Honestly and truly. I really appreciate you coming, and I appreciate your time. So I'm going to get right into the questions here. I wanted to ask you, first off, what inspired you to get into this industry?
When I was a kid, I played soccer. I was a cheerleader, so I was always athletic. I was climbing trees, all that stuff. So, but as I got older, like most people do, I kind of like let myself go in college and kind of just stopped working out and doing all of that. My first career was sales. So I was in home sales. I worked in mechanical sales. I did all the things. But it was when I was in commercial, or I was selling, what was it? AC contracts.
Oh.
And I would have to cold call chief engineers as a 25-year-old girl and, try to pitch why they should fire the company they're using now and use mine, which was a great company to work for. But it didn't really get me out of bed in the morning. It wasn't really exciting. It was really boring. I always knew I wanted to help people, right? So I was like, this isn't filling my cup, if you will. So,
Right.
but during that time, I started lifting weights, and I got into the gym because, I had a boyfriend that would pitch the fat on my thighs. And so, he was a jerk, and so I started going to the gym just like a lot of women do to get skinny. And I had a friend at the time who was doing all these Instagram challenges, and she was like, oh, you should do one of these. And there's like 4-6 week transformations that, as a trainer now, I'm like, oh my gosh. But it got me in the gym, and I was losing weight, and I was like, ugh, like I'm getting thin, but my body's not changing. So that's when I kind of like dove into lifting weights. And this was circa 2016, 17, 18. So I, watched a lot of YouTube, and I did all of the diets. I did all the things. I bulked. I went to Chipotle every day and had a burrito. I did all the things wrong and all the things right. And then eventually somebody told me that I should consider competing. And this is the time where I was in commercial, and, I was trying to explore that avenue. And I worked out at the YMCA downtown, and I would see the trainers training their clients. And I'm like, I can do that. I want to help people like that. But I was, of course, scared to leave that career to start something that I'm like, everybody was telling me you'll never be able to make money. You'll never be able to, support yourself. And so I just kind of like waited, and I competed, and I did really well. And I really fell more and more in love with trading. And then 2020 happened, and I lost my job, which, at the time I think they let go of 50 employees on the same day. They just sent out a mass email. And it was that time where I had to make a really important decision, which is, the next day I got another job offer to do another job in sales. And I turned it down because I said, okay, if there's ever a time to follow my dream, it's now. So I applied to Orange Theory, and I was I sat at the front desk, like during lockdown and everything. We weren't calling people. It was just people coming in, and I was raising my hand to be a coach for the longest time. I had gotten my NASM during lockdown and all that stuff, and eventually I became an Orange Theory coach, and I did that for about a year. I really loved it. And then someone told me, hey, this gym is looking for trainers, and my goal was always to be a full-time trainer. And so I did, and fell in love with that, and met some wonderful people. I gained a mentor out of Matthew, and I learned so much more about outside of bodybuilding style training. So I learned a lot of athletic style, Olympic lifting, a lot more about mobility. I got injured a couple of times with my hip, so I learned a lot of valuable things there. And yeah, it's been a long but quick journey, at the same time. And I fell in love with it, and I'm still in love with it. And now I'm self-employed and having the time of my life. So
wow,
a long answer, but
that's very inspiring. It was a great answer. Very good. Oh my gosh. And how would you suggest somebody get into the industry if they wanted to get into your industry of work?
So it depends, right? So if you're young, do it early on. If you're going to start, if you have that, I tell my younger clients, don't do what people tell you should do. Right away, follow what your passion is, so that you can start earlier. I wish I had started earlier. But if you were kind of in a position where I was, where you're in a career where that supports you, and you're scared to make that jump because right away you're not going to be making a lot of money. You have to build a book of business just like any other client-based business.
Right.
So doing it part-time at first. So, you got to hustle a little bit, I would say. It was a perfect time for me because everything was locked down. So I was able to study and then, jump right in. But I think you have to have that hustle in you, right? If you already have a job that's supporting you, unless you have a big savings account where you can jump right into it. But it took me about 4 years to get to a place where I am self-employed and I can take care of myself. So it takes time. But I would encourage anybody who has a real passion for it. I'd say if it's for career wise, if, I didn't go to college for it. I didn't study it in college. And it was more of for me, it was more of an experience. It took a lot of experience for me to get really good at my job. So for a lot of people, just doing it on the side for a while until you can get that book of business. But for me, it's been the most fulfilling thing I've ever done in my life. So I would encourage anybody to follow that.
That's good. So, secret note about me, I did buy the books to actually study to become a personal trainer back when I was like 20, and then I got pregnant and I had the baby, and I never went back to do it because I've worked out since I was like 12. We did their aerobics classes with my mom. I was always into working out. So I did think about doing that. Yeah. I did complete the class to be a teacher for yoga. I just never had like the confidence to go up and teach in front of people, but I do love yoga. But I could do it at any time because it like never expires.
Yeah. Well, when it comes to teaching a class, it's all about getting your reps up and finding your voice. I mean, the first couple of times I did it, I sucked, So you just have to be willing to make those mistakes and know that the people in front of you don't always know you're making a mistake, right?
Yeah.
And just own it and kind of fake it till you make it. But it's, if you wanted to ever do that, just go in there and do it a couple of times. And it's just, it took me about a month for me to get my bearings.
To get it down. And to be a personal trainer, what type of certifications or classes or, would somebody need?
So, I mean, just to become a personal trainer, you just need your certification. Mine is through NASM. I would say stick to the ones that people know. There's probably about 4 of them, and if you were to just Google, but NASM's the one that I go with. You have to have continuing education. So every couple of years, you have to do kind of like a couple of courses and things like that. So that also costs money too. So to get those certifications,
of course.
But after you get let's say your NASM, after that, to be more appealing, I guess, too, and to stay educated and to get more clients, the more certifications you have, the more appealing you are. So currently I'm working on my pelvic floor certification. So I'm very excited about that. And then after that, going for my USAW cert, so the Olympic lifting.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. So.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you. What is your training style?
So I would say I'm definitely more of a hybrid now, and it's fun. So it also depends on who you are when you come to me with your goals. So my first background was bodybuilding style training, and then I went into Orange Theory, and I learned more about like the class structure and taking a group of people and training them all at the same time, and the things that you have to kind of let go of form wise. And then when I first started as a trainer, I met a couple of people that took me under their wing and really taught me a lot about athletic style training, so performance exercise. And then having gone through a couple of injuries, I've learned a lot about the importance of mobility and full range of motion training. So I would definitely say I'm like a hybrid between strength, athletic performance, hypertrophy. I've got all the things. So depending on what it is that you come to me for. So I have student athletes, and then I also have mothers, and then I have older gentlemen, and then I have everybody in between that just wants to come in and put on some muscle and, recomp their body tone, if you will. So I get a lot of different people. My ultimate goal for all of my clients is to leave feeling better than when you came to see me. So, yeah.
That's good. It's about feeling good. But my 3 body parts I always want to work if a trainer asks me. Butt, tries, and abs. We got to hit all 3 parts.
So why try? Why try?
Because you can see me from behind. You see my butt and my
little
arms.
horseshoe.
Yes.
I love it.
It's all about that. So when somebody's new to, working out, what is the most common mistake that you see them making?
Going from 0 to 100.
They get burned out.
Yes. When it comes to nutrition and fitness, with some people, when it comes to nutrition, you always hear the term yo-yo dieting. So what happens is people they go 0 to 100. So let's say you are currently eating 3,000 calories a day to maintain your weight. And then you're like, I'm going to go on a diet. And then you eat 900 calories a day. First of all, you're overly restricting yourself. So you're setting yourself up for failure, because at the end of the day, you're going to go to the kitchen, you're going to eat everything in your cabinets, right? Because you've restricted all day. And really what you want to do is kind of slowly taper those calories down, because if you go to 3,900 and then you plateau, you really have nowhere to go from there when it comes to your nutrition. And you see that all the time, though. Restrict and binge. Mm-hmm. So going 0 to 100 is actually, it's counterproductive. So you want to go slow when it comes to that. You never really want to lose more than 1% of your body weight every week if you're trying to lose body fat, because that tells you that you're losing weight, not fat, right? So you're losing muscle mass as well. So that's why it's important to go slow when it comes to losing weight. Now, if you have like 100 pounds to lose, that's a little different story. You're going to lose more than 1%. But if you got about 20, 30 pounds that you want to lose, or body fat wise, you definitely want to go slow. And then when it comes to weight training and exercise, you'll have people who do 6-7 times a week. But really, when you're in the gym, what you're doing is you're tearing your muscles apart. And when they get stronger and when they build back up is when you're resting. So people will go, okay, I need to work out 6-7 days a week, in order to lose this weight. And you end up, your cortisol levels spike, all this stuff happens, and your body just has the opposite reaction that you want it to. I always tell people, if you don't plan a rest day, your body will plan one for you.
In between. Yeah.
Yes. So going slow, it's going too fast. That's the long-winded answer.
Yeah. It's a marathon, not a race. And it's true about the weight loss, because I watched my son, Chris, lose over 100 pounds in over a year, and it was slow and it was gradual, and it was amazing, and it was great because he's been able to maintain that for 5 years.
Exactly.
And because he did it slow, and it was just restricting a little bit, of course. Anybody that gets that overweight, we all overeat at times,
right?
And he was overeating every day. So when he cut back, it was difficult for him. And it wasn't even cut back. I'm like, you don't need to have 2 burgers. You just need 1.
Right. It's just small changes.
Because that's what you're supposed to have. Mm-hmm. We're going to park farther from the store, and we're going to walk, and we're going to get our steps in. It's like every little thing is little changes, they add up.
Exactly.
It's true.
Exactly. I'll even have some of my clients, and, they see me once a week, and they're like, oh, I don't have time. And I'll tell them, like, put your shoes by your bed. Now, this is if you have the privilege of living in a nice neighborhood, but put your shoes by your bed. And then when you wake up in the morning, set an alarm or set a timer for 10 minutes and walk around for 10 minutes. And that's how you started your day. Everybody has 10 minutes in the morning, to
do something. That's why I put my yoga mat by the bed. So I'm like, I'm going to do crunches every night or every morning, because I'm, getting older and the pooch is getting there. But it's like you said.
Dead bugs are what you should be doing.
Dead bugs.
As your trainer.
As my trainer.
Planks.
Those are the best. They're the hardest. But it is true. Like, we always say we don't have time. And I work like 15 hours a day, and I always find time to work out at least 4 days a week. Yes. So I'm finding time. Anybody can find time.
Yes. And there's definitely a lot of different lives people have, where, you might not live in a good neighborhood, or you have 5 kids, or you work full time and you have the kids.
Right.
And it's really hard for them to find that time. So that's why I always say, like, 10 minutes. Find 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's what I started with, 10.
Yeah. And then there's been recent studies that have come out talking about, maybe 5-minute spurts throughout your day of quick exercise. And just like Chris, over a span of a year, all of those little 5-minute bursts of exercise really add up over a long period of time.
So I remember when he was playing basketball and I used to go in my car and I'd work out. I'd do these like thigh lift cars. I had the shake weight in my car, and I would put the seats down in the back of my Kia Soul. I'm like, people probably think what's going on, but
shake weight.
I got my band around my thighs. I'm doing what I need to do in here.
I just had a flashback to that commercial,
I love that thing. I may still have it in my closet. I used to bring it out at work, and we would put ankles around our weights and
buy it from you.
And go around and do, leg lifts. We put the sucker waistband on, my mom and I. We would sweat our asses off at work. Yes, we would. But so everything helps.
hilarious.
What would help a person lose weight quicker? Would it be cardio, weights, and what do you think? You're the professional.
So, cardio should be a tool, not the only form of exercise, right? So, weight training is always going to trump everything else. Cardio should be a supplement. So, I always have my clients personally, you do enough cardio to keep your heart healthy, to keep you healthy. It doesn't mean you have to go run, right? No. So
way.
there's so many different ways that you can get your heart rate up in a more productive way that's not going to aggravate your joints. And I also tell people pick a struggle, right? Because in the bodybuilding world, they have a term called running off your legs, right? So if your legs are too big for the bikini division, for instance, some coaches will have you go run a lot because it helps you atrophy the muscle in your legs, right? So if your goal is to recomp your body, right? So lose body fat and add muscle, weightlifting and short bursts of cardio are probably going to be the best thing for you. Also, too, there's a saying, the more muscle you have, the more you can eat, right? I mean, and that it's actually, it's kind of true because your body, what are calories, right? Calories are energy, right? So your body needs more energy to maintain muscle. So you end up being able to eat more to maintain that muscle, right? So if you keep your diet the same and you're putting on muscle, you're naturally going to lose body fat and your body's going to change over time. And I would definitely say cardio. I mean, everybody needs to do a little bit of cardio, right? But you can do ball slams and things like that. But I would say when it comes to losing body fat, it's definitely more productive to do weight training and supplement with cardio than the other way around, for sure.
So is the saying muscle burns more fat?
That was the saying that I was trying to do.
Is that right?
Yes.
Because my mom used to say that to me because I was always like bigger and I was like, I want to be like 0 and size 0 and I want to be skinny. She's like, well, muscle weighs more than fat. Or that was it. Muscle weighs more than fat because I would get on the scale and I was like, what?
It's more dense. Right.
That's what they say. It's dense.
It's more dense. Right. So, and that's the biggest challenge I have with a lot of the women that I've trained is seeing that scale not change.
Right.
And so I kind of discourage people from weighing themselves.
I know. I tell them at the gym, I'm like, that thing's evil. Get away from it.
Yeah, well, because it tricks your brain, right?
Yes.
What you should be looking at when it comes to changing your body is how your clothes fit,
how you feel,
and what you look like in the mirror, right? Versus what the scale says. Because let's say you put on 5 pounds of muscle and you lose 10 pounds of fat, but your scale says you've only lost 5 pounds. And you're like, but I've been at this for 6 months.
Or sometimes you may not even lose weight. You may have put on muscle, but you've lost the fat. So it's kind of equaling it out. So I'm like, yeah.
I always define the difference between weight and fat with people. So when you're going on a diet per se, right, your goal is to lose body fat. You don't want to lose weight. So I always like to clarify that because weight means everything. Weight means muscle mass, fat, all that stuff. So if you really are just trying to get smaller, I mean, it doesn't really matter what you eat as long as it's under a certain amount of calories. But if you're really trying to get healthy and lose body fat and put on some muscle, right, your goal is just to lose fat, not weight. And then your nutrition should reflect that.
And is it true the older we get, it's harder to put on muscle?
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
Not necessarily. You'll see videos all the time with, I see recently more videos of, these men and women in their 70s deadlifting and things like that. It is one of those things where if you don't use it, you lose it.
It's true.
So what happens, right, is life gets in the way, things happen. And then, especially for women, you go through menopause and all these things happen. And so it feels harder because you've been out of it for so long. But once you get into it, and, of course, there's a lot of other factors at play, it's one of those things where if you stick with it, it's not as hard as people think. I don't know if that answers the question.
Yes.
Okay.
When someone's looking to hire a personal trainer, what considerations should they keep in mind? when they're making that selection?
So I would always say you're not going to really know what a trainer is like unless you get in front of them. So the first session, you will know pretty much if they're a right fit for you personality wise. But I would say education isn't always everything too. So, I know some people with doctorate degrees, but if you can't apply what you know, then you might not be necessarily better, right? So it's a couple things to look out for when you're first session with a trainer. Are they treating you like you are a cookie cutter person, or are they looking at you as an individual and assessing you and watching you, right? So watching how you're moving, what you're doing, what your knees are doing, what your ankles are doing, what your hips are doing, things like that. So the first time you meet a trainer, if they immediately are having you get on a machine pushing really heavy weights, or are they, okay, well, let's see how you move first. Tell me about yourself. What are your injuries? The more questions they ask about you, it's typically a good sign. And I would say experience wise, but I'd say just like most other things in life, your gut instinct is really important. I think a lot of times too, people will base how good a trainer is off of how they look. So you see that a lot of times on Instagram, right? There's a lot of Photoshop and BBLs going on in the world right now. And people like, oh, okay, that person obviously knows what they're doing. They can tell me how to do it. So just because someone can make themselves look a certain way doesn't necessarily mean that they can apply that to you or teach you how to do it. So it really is all about getting in front of somebody. And then having a good bullshit filter is hard to come by, but you know what I mean? So being able to tell, that's where education does come in, making sure the person actually is certified. Because you do have a lot of dime a dozen trainers that they just like to lift weights, so they go into the gym, right? So, seeing how seriously they take their job. So if you're hiring somebody online, seeing how quickly they respond to you. So it shouldn't take them more than 24 hours to get back to you. Mm-hmm. If you get a plan from somebody, is it cookie cutter, right? Or is it specifically designed for you? Did they ask you a bunch of questions? Did they have you fill out a questionnaire, right?
Perfect. Good. That was a great answer. Because I think it's true. I think a lot of us, like you're saying, you look at somebody and you're like, oh, I want to look like that. I think people have to realize you're not going to look like that because you're not the same person. Everybody's body's different. And I think like the body image is another thing that huge. I've struggled with. And now that I get older, I'm like, you know what? I'm doing more working out, this type of stuff that I couldn't do when I was younger. No. Because I feel like I'm working out with personal trainers that are watching me and training me better, and I'm getting stronger and not injuring myself. Hint, hint. My issues is my back. I have a sway back. I have an arch in my back. So it's really hard for me to get it flat and not poke it out. But that's big girl butt problems.
And I mean, the point you made is actually really good. So, but that's how people will hire these girls online.
Right.
And the thing is too, you cannot change your bones, right?
Right.
So, you look at somebody with wide hips and a tiny waist for instance, I am straight up, straight down, right? So I'm not going to be able to change that. So knowing, okay, my body is never going to look like that, but I can still make my body feel and look great. There's an expression, a well-performing body typically looks good, but a body that looks good doesn't always perform well. So, keeping that in mind too, being able to move well.
It's true. It's about
injury-free.
Injury-free. Now that I get older and I watched my dad struggle with a hip replacement and I watched my mom transition, with a degenerative issue that killed her ultimately. But I watched her, my mom was so active and she was fit. And if she had maintained exercise and movement throughout her disease, she probably could have lived a lot longer. Because like you said, her muscles, I mean, she were all gone. And my mom had beautiful muscles. You know, she was a spinner, weightlifter. She would be doing the 2 classes. I'm like, what are you doing? I'm going to die on this bike. Turn it up. And I said, but it's so true. If you move it or lose it. And it's about living healthy longer and injury free, because I don't want to be with knee replacement.
Oh, well, and you know, I have a really great friend. Her father is older, so he is 78, but he moves and acts like he's in his 50s because he walks 2 miles every single day.
It makes a big difference.
And he has kept moving. He tries his best not to sit down on the couch all day.
Right.
Or, you know, because he's retired now. So he tries to move as much as he
stuff.
can. So when I evaluated him the other day, I'm like, you're tight, but he can get up and down off the floor really easily, you know, whereas I know some people that struggle to get up off the ground in their 60s. So it really depends. It just goes to show you movement keeps you healthy and strong as you get older.
It's true. It's so true. We need to really keep moving in our sedentary society that we live in. And you know, they always say, like, this, not they, people say it's 80% of what you put in your body. And then so 80% diet, 20% exercise. Do you agree with that?
Yes. I definitely, having been a competitor, a physique competitor for a little while, I 100% agree with that. I wouldn't say 80-20 because there's so much work in the gym that is involved in putting on muscle and things like that. But if you really, I mean, to get your body to look a certain way, you definitely, that is the case.
You got to watch that food, the spoon in the mouth.
But I will say too, there's a lot of issues that people deal with food, right? Emotionally, there's a lot of factors that play into nutrition for a lot of people. I grew up in a household where food was how you dealt with stress, right? It's how you dealt with your emotions is you eat, right? And so I think there's a lot of people that deal with that. We live in a society now where mental health is a serious issue, and a lot of people use food for that. So I think a lot of people get discouraged because they can't get that 80% nutrition down. And then that's where making those small little changes day by day will really help with that. So I definitely think those, for the people out there that struggle with overeating when they're stressed or emotional.
Oh yeah.
You know, I think I used to tell my mom too, there's this saying, you know, like, let's say you do have a bad night or you binge eat, right? A lot of people will quit and just like, okay, whatever, it's done. Or, so I like to attribute that to this analogy of, you know, let's say you're driving down the highway and you get a flat tire. Okay, you pull off to the side. Are you going to like slash the other 3 tires and walk home? Or are you going to change the tire and keep driving, right? So when you have a night where you're in your kitchen and you're binge eating and you're just like, so you're really being hard on yourself. Like, okay, the next day you're going to change the tire and you're going to keep driving versus slashing the other tires and just giving up completely.
Just make a fresh start. Yeah, it's true. It's true. And then, you know, my son, he'll always say, I'm still a fat ass at heart. You know, he loves food is a love, and it's like your friend, and it can be comforting. And I think we use it here as, it's a reward. You know, you have a birthday party, you have a cake, you have this, we're celebrating, or, you know, some people go as far, we're having champagne, or it's always like a celebratory thing. And I think so people have a relationship with it. You need it because it keeps you alive and it helps your body, but just to find like a balance between it.
You're allowed to be allowing yourself to be human. And I actually had a conversation with the trainer earlier today about treat versus cheat. If you say, oh, I'm cheating, that's a cheat, you know, it puts a negative view on it, right? Versus saying, oh, this is a treat, you know. And I know it sounds silly, but changing the word from cheat to treat gives it more of a positive outlook that you're giving. Right.
It's not something bad for me.
No, it's not something bad. You're allowing yourself, you know, I used to have issues with binge eating when I was younger, and this was even before bodybuilding. And there were ways that I went around that to stop. So I would stop putting candies and things like that in my house. And I allowed myself, if I wanted a Reese's, I'm a Reese's person.
Yum.
I would drive to a 7-Eleven and I would get myself a Reese's and I would enjoy that Reese's and I would not feel guilty about it. And I was able to lose weight that way versus not allowing me to have that Reese's at all.
It's true. You can't deprive yourself because then you're going to have it and you're going to not be able to stop.
Right. So there's definitely ways around it. Yeah.
It's true. You got to get the balance. So if someone's interested in becoming a personal trainer, we talked about this before, would you feel it could be a lucrative career for them?
Yeah, it depends on your hustle, I would say. And it's all about retention as well. So I think what made me great in in-home sales is half of what makes me a great trainer. Being able to empathize and listen to your clients and what they actually want and what they need from you, and being able to apply what you know to what they need helps with retention tremendously. I have a lot of people where I'm the only win they have today. The fact that they got to the gym at all was like their win for the day. And I'm the person that they see where they can just calm down, right?
I feel like that.
So being that, so being able to empathize and relate to your clients allows you to retain. And then if you make them feel good, if they leave you feeling better than when they came in, they're going to tell their friends. And then they're going to tell their doctors and they're going to tell their physical therapists, oh, I'm now pain-free here. So it's being able to, one, stick with it long enough to where you can see the financial reward. I think a lot of people, they start and they do it for a year and they're like, I'm going to give up. There was a while where I was living paycheck to paycheck, but you love what you do and you're like, okay, I'm going to stick with this and I'm going to keep going. And then eventually you do see the results from that. I will say, I'm not really big into social media, but I do know that plays a huge role. If you can find your target audience and post every day and things like that, that definitely helps. Marketing yourself is huge. Being able to always be closing. So everybody you meet, always be able to rep yourself in a positive way. But the way I started, I became a part-time fitness instructor for Orange Theory, and then worked in a box gym, got clientele, got my reps up, really, got my experience in. But I've put in 4 years, before I'm starting to see the real payoff of it. So if it's something that you really love, go for it. But you just have to stick with it. And I definitely feel like it can be if you continue to educate yourself and continue to try to learn and keep an open mind. I think a lot of trainers, not a lot, but some kind of are offended if somebody tries to help them or teach them, right? So keeping an open mind of okay, this research came out and it says something completely different than what I've been practicing with my clients, and being able to take that in and be like, okay, this is something I need to change. Being open to criticism and learning from your clients as well. If you lose a client, instead of getting upset or angry with that person, be like, what could I have done better? What, not saying you have every right to stop training with me, but what did you feel that you didn't receive from me? What do you think I should do better? Always being open to feedback will also help you continue to develop as a trainer too. Always be open to learning.
Exactly. That's great advice for any career path. You got to be open to learning. You have to be empathetic. You have to be understanding, easy to talk to. You have to be likable, and you have to keep your brand moving in any career, and especially being an entrepreneur on your own, because I'm one myself. So I understand all of that.
Yes. Client-based is definitely
building it up, because they're going to come and they're going to go, and then they're going to come back and then they're going to go again. It's just a revolving door at times. So
and if you build it, they will come.
They will come. If they like you, they'll refer you, and they'll come back 100%. And they'll support you. So I would appreciate you coming again. You're amazing. Yes. And I would like you to come back again in a couple of months. I would like to possibly maybe do a video while I'm working out with you.
I'd love that.
Yeah, I think that would be fun.
Maybe next time I won't be so nervous too.
You're doing fine. Don't worry. I'm always nervous. I'm sweating like a pig. So where can people reach out to you if they have questions?
So currently, just for now, in a couple of months, it will change. But right now, if anybody has any questions or any inquiries, they can email me at the email address Hawkins Health and Fitness. So Hawkins being HAWKINS, health and fitness @gmail.com.
Perfect. Thank you. And again, we thank everybody for joining us. Chats with Colleen. If you haven't already done so, please like and subscribe on our social medias. My Instagram is Colleen Insurance Lady 22. Facebook is Secured Insurance Group. We're on YouTube, and please like and share our podcast. Our podcast is created and produced by Sean Spazzato. Our cover art is by Norma Pacheco, and our intro music is by Lounge Bar by Geronic. Goodbye, and join us again.